So I love how some people were concerned that this was going to be a box office failure just because of the ridiculously long runtime. Like, excuse me, have you seen how long the highest grossing movies of all time actually are?
The Osage took their name from Missouri and Osage rivers. Niukanska, children of the Middle Waters.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, well, it is time for one of the most anticipated movies this year, as Martin Scorsese is coming to the big screen with a big epic in tow with Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon takes a look at a tragic moment in American history, as the native people of the Osage Nation land, one of the wealthiest Native American tribes in the country, soon find themselves in danger. Jealous of their wealth, the Osage people are systematically murdered in order for white Americans to profit. And when Ernest Burkhart marries into this family, whether he realizes it or not, he triggers a domino effect that sets everything off. Whether you agree with Scorsese's comments about the current state of filmmaking or not, you can't deny the man is one of the single greatest filmmakers of all time. Not just living today, but to have ever existed. And he knows how to make a fucking movie, because he's currently on one of the best runs of his career. Take a look at 2013. He gave us The Wolf of Wall Street. 2016, he gave us the highly underrated Silence. 2019, he returned to his crime drama roots with The Irishman. And now in 2023, Scorsese continues being on a roll, because Killers of the Flower Moon was one of the most mesmerizing films of the year. And look, I know everyone's main fear with this film, and no, it's not the heavy subject matter, it's the fact that this film clocks in at a whopping 206 minutes. That's 3.5 hours long. And for some, that's just too darn long, and you know what? Maybe it is. Especially with the film being predominantly dialogue based. There's no action, there's tension, but not in the typical sense. It's built around characters. I've got to say, none of that was an issue for me. Sure, the runtime didn't exactly fly by, but it didn't drag either. It didn't feel like I was in that cinema for over 3 hours, which I can't say the same about another 3-hour epic that came out earlier this year, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Thelma Schoonmaker's editing ensures that even when we near slower beats of the film, our attention doesn't waver for a second because of intentional and deliberate editing choices. And another reason why the pace and the runtime worked so well for me was because of the story. Scorsese and screenwriter Eric Roth have pieced together a truly fascinating account of this slice of history, a time in which America was overcome with greed and corruption, but what Roth and Scorsese never allow is those two themes to drive the film and story forward. At the forefront, they prioritize the focus to be on the poignancy and the tragedy of these events. Because it all starts out with the perfect introduction, like a game of chess. Scorsese is laying his pieces down on the board, taking his time to set the stage, introduce us to our characters, introduce us to this new environment. And then, once we are introduced, that is when he gradually starts making his moves. We first meet Ernest Burkhart, a war veteran who returns to his wealthy uncle in the hopes of a job, and soon finds himself swooning a local Osage woman, Molly. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio, he plays Ernest, and you don't need me to tell you that DiCaprio and Scorsese working together creates magic. The best thing that DiCaprio brings to the character of Ernest is that you simply can't figure him out. That's mostly because he can't figure things out for himself either. He's undeniably smitten with Molly and wishes to protect her, but through the manipulation from his uncle, he willingly plots and contributes to the downfall of the Osage people. Like, I'd imagine DiCaprio will probably score himself an Oscar nomination here. Do I think he'll win? I doubt it. It's a very good performance from DiCaprio. I wouldn't rank it among his best, but it's strong. It's DiCaprio level strong. And then you have Robert De Niro, another longtime Scorsese collaborator. And he turns in another sensational performance. The character of William Hayes, the puppeteer of these murders, is equally charismatic as he is slimy. The level of manipulation De Niro is exuding here is bordering on uncomfortable levels. And he has this undeniable presence about him even when he is portraying such a detestable villain. As to be expected with a Scorsese film, he wrangles in a pretty good ensemble too. There are some faces that you probably may not recognise but will want to see more from in films to come, and there may be a few familiar faces that you don't expect to crop up, and they surprise you when they do. Controversially though, I have to say that whilst many of these faces did leave a strong, lasting impression, Brendan Fraser, who only really shows up towards the last quarter of the film, I'm not convinced that he was the best casting decision. However, I want to make sure that I do not forget to talk about Lily Gladstone. My word, what a performance. Now, I don't believe that I've seen her in anything before. That being said, I now want to see her in everything. Throughout the first act, I was blown away by how patient and understated her acting was. She gave off such a soothing and calming presence, which made it all the more heartbreaking as her family is exterminated around her. Gladstone, for me, besides Scorsese, was the MVP here. The only critique I have that is to do with her character isn't necessarily to do with Lily Gladstone at all. It's not even that much of a critique, it's that I wanted more from the character of Molly. For me, Killers of the Flower Moon works best when it is told through the eyes and the experiences of the Osage people. The emotion is stronger, and in the case of Molly, I get the feeling Scorsese had more interest in her arc than he necessarily did to other components of the film. But that's not to discredit when the story shifts to Ernest and his uncle and their criminal doings. It's by no means bad, it's just that it's the typical Scorsese wheelhouse. It's stuff that we've seen before and more than likely will continue to see so long as he continues to make great movies like this. But having the story told more through Molly's experiences, that for me felt more refreshing and much more engaging. Nevertheless, that's where I want to leave this review. Talking about Scorsese. A filmmaker who, even at the ripe old age of 80, is still taking risks on the story he wants to tell and how he wants to tell them. There's an ingenious way in which this film concludes, different to the usual text cards that explain and sum up events following on from the film, and in that moment, as the film drew to a close, it sunk in that we don't get films like this all that often. Films that have a distinctive, authorial voice. Films are stories, and directors are storytellers. And in the case of Killers of the Flower Moon, there was rarely a beat where Scorsese dropped the ball. Outstanding performances, brilliant editing and scoring, simply enthralling from start to finish. Just a delight to watch a master at his craft. I'm going to give Killers of the Flower Moon a 9 out of 10. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, as you're probably noticing, the things behind me are looking a little different right now. I've moved house. I'm currently shooting this in my dining room. The set that I want to have for these videos and for my channel is currently in development. I'm getting there with it, but I want to make videos for you. I don't just want to do audio ones because they are a nightmare to edit as well. So just bear with me. We're working on it. I'm working on it to have it look a bit more like you're used to, but for the time being, I'm just going to kind of film videos wherever I can, because I want to talk to you guys about films. I want to talk to you what's coming out. I want to talk to you about some of the films and TV shows that I've caught up on recently, because I've had time. But before I go, my question to you, I would like to know, what is your favorite Scorsese film? So that is all the time we have for today. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.